All right, folks. It's time to get this show started. How you doing, folks? This is Sherman Ray, and this is the Nevada Conservative Podcast. I want to thank you all for being a part of the show today. You guys, today we've got a really interesting show. Many of you know that over the last couple of days here, it's actually they've been having the Karmelo Anthony trial. Karmelo Anthony was charged with killing Austin. What's Austin's last name? Austin Metcalf, and the verdict came in, and he was found guilty, and he was rightfully found guilty for killing Austin back about a year ago at a track meet. And immediately what happened is, folks, people started already saying, oh, it's racism. Oh, gosh, it's racism. And I've been listening to the talking heads all day long about their spin on this whole thing and how racism is this and racism is that and that kind of thing. And now they're kind of going back and forth about the whole racism thing. And once again, I think they're missing something. And that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, Karmelo Anthony was actually a victim in this. He really was. But not for the reason why he thinks, folks. That's what we're going to be talking about in this show today. So stick around, folks. When we come back, we're going to talk about why Karmelo Anthony really was the victim in this whole thing. But it's probably not for the reason why you think so. Okay? So we'll be right back. Just a second. Sherman Ray, TNC Podcast. We'll be right back in just a minute. All right, folks, we are back, and this is Sherman Ray, and this is the TNC Podcast. Thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast. Many of you probably are saying, hey, Sherman, things look a little different today. And yes, they do. I'm back in the regular chair, back in the kind of moving things back around, and it was harrowing yesterday. So we do other shows here, folks, and we do other broadcasts, and so sometimes, you try to switch up things, and that's the way it is. Oh, before we get going too much further, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, hit the subscribe button there, folks. And we'd really encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to our broadcast and let everybody know that this is really cool and that you really like it. And just hit the subscribe button over there. And it's interesting, folks. We have literally thousands upon thousands of people who listen to our broadcast on a weekly basis, and especially the snippets that I put out. I put out a lot of those all the time, and it's really kind of neat to just see how people just really get into it. So thank you all for being a part of the broadcast, and thank you for thinking we're the cool thing that you want to watch every time. Well, today we are talking about our Karmelo Anthony. And Karmelo Anthony, many of you know who this guy is. And the reason why we're focusing on Karmelo so much in this whole broadcast is not because, he's, usually you wouldn't focus on the guy who killed somebody, because it's pretty obvious Karmelo Anthony did kill Austin Metcalf. That's undisputable. Even the people who saw this thing happen. And for those of you who don't know what this story was, Karmelo Anthony went to a track meet and he went into the tent of the opposing team's tent. Austin Metcalf, who's one of the football players for the school, was under the tent also, and he turned to Karmelo and says, hey, you can't be here. After about 6 minutes of arguing back and forth with this guy, Karmelo goes, hey, you touch me and I'll show you why you shouldn't touch me. And evidently, according to witness testimony, he reached into his backpack, pulled out a knife, stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest so violently that it actually, when the police came, there were still shards of bone on the knife and it killed him. Well, he went on trial. This was in 2025. He went on trial this year. And the verdict just came back like yesterday. he was sentenced to 35 years in jail and in prison, and people started talking about this thing, going, hey, this is racism, because he didn't have black people on the jury, and because he's a black guy and he killed a white kid, that kind of stuff. Okay, and that's really not it at all, folks. It's as a matter of fact, I think you can probably argue that this probably should have made it even easier for folks, because this was crazy, that you would think that this guy killed somebody and that he could get off because some kid's white or some kid's black. That's not it at all. Karmelo Anthony was the victim of this, though, folks. And I really do think this, because, and the reason why is because he was being indoctrinated for like the last 20, 30 years to become who he is today. And I want you, before you guys, some folks are going to probably already start tuning out, and I want you to hear me first. I understand where he came from, because I've grew up in America. My parents are of Jamaican heritage, so we were raised a little different than African Americans. We're Caribbean Americans, but we all are exposed to the same sort of thing. And we're going to look at this right now, because over the last 20 to 40 years, folks, every black person in America has been indoctrinated to think a certain way. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So this story has taken the nation by the heart. And there's competing sides, the Metcalf side and the Anthony side, and they're wrestling over who's at fault with this. But I don't think they're really seeing, was Karmelo Anthony a victim of this whole thing? He's a 17-year-old kid. And folks, I want you to understand something. I've taught school before, and I've been a part of the school system for like the last 3 years. But even before this, I went to school, so I'm really well acquainted with what's going on in the schools and what's going on in society. And we're going to talk a little bit about this. Okay. Some speculate that the reason why Anthony was ultimately found guilty was because of racism, but the real reason why Anthony acted in the first place was because of social conditioning, specifically from the woke left. And I want you to understand this, folks, because this is at the heart of this whole thing. If you say something long enough, people will believe it. I'm going to say it again. If you say something long enough, people will begin to believe it. And if they believe it, they can, and in this case, they will act it out. And that's what I think went on with Karmelo Anthony. And we're going to look at some examples of why we believe that he acted out as somebody who's, just kind of, oh, guys, guess what? I can do whatever I want to do. I can hit people. I can beat up people. I can be belligerent, because guess what? There's systemic racism in America. And since there's systemic racism, guess what? I can do whatever I want to do. How do we know that? Okay, let me give you some examples, folks, and then we'll kind of go back. We'll backtrack and everything else like this. Remember just recently, maybe about a year ago, there was a guy who was on a subway train station, and he was sitting behind this, I think it was Ukrainian girl, Romanian girl. She sits down in front of him, and all of a sudden the guy gets up and he stabs her in the neck. There's another example, okay? Remember and you see this in New York a lot, where some elderly white woman or some elderly white guy will be walking down the street. All of a sudden, some black guy just comes up and just whack him right in the face, knock him on the ground, and you go, oh my, who does this stuff? Teen takeovers in California, where you get these phone calls all the time, and I know I'm not the only person that sees this. I know people are going, well, sure, I can't believe you're saying that. Okay, I'm saying what you're seeing. And you're just too afraid to say it. But I can see it. Every time I see a teen takeover, I don't see a bunch of Jewish kids. I don't see a bunch of Italian kids. For the love of God, I don't see a bunch of Irish kids out there. I see a bunch of black kids out there taking over neighborhoods, taking over stores, running through stores with hoodies on and everything else, ripping off the place, smash and grabs. Those are a bunch of black kids. These are not a bunch of Amish kids that are going in there doing it. These are a bunch of black kids, and they're doing it for a reason, because they feel like they can do it. They've been encouraged to do it, and they've been encouraged to do it by the woke leftists who keep telling them, "Yeah, you're a victim. You should be out there doing it. Go and get whatever you want." So don't get upset at me. I know some of you folks are saying, "Oh, I can't believe you would say it. Sherm, you're a black man. How can you say it?" Really? Are you kidding me? Am I the only person that sees this? These are just a sampling, folks. These are just a sampling of the mindset which has been created by the woke left, specifically Democrats and those folks who want to keep black folks just in this little space over here. Remember during COVID, guys, I remember some of you remember this. We'll take a break here real quick, but remember during COVID, there was this one skinny black girl. She comes on TV, and they were asking her questions because people were out stealing. They were just ripping off stuff. And she said, "Yes, you should be able to steal whatever you want to do. Go ahead and steal whatever you want to do, because it's reparations." There's the big word, reparations. We're going to talk a little bit about reparations, folks. I got my own thing on reparations, guys. I really do. But let's do this. Let's take a real quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about why Karmelo Anthony was actually a victim. And it's not for the reason why you think. We'll be back in just a second. Stick around. Oh, excuse me. Hey, folks, this is Sherman Ray, and this is the Nevada Conservative Podcast, or the TNC Podcast. Thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. Today, we are talking about why Karmelo Anthony really is the victim of this this whole debacle where he killed a young man by the name of Austin Metcalf. And really do believe this, folks. I really do believe that this kid was a product of his society. Not that he doesn't have his own, he doesn't have responsibility and everything else like that. But guys, I teach in a school, and I see this happen all the time. I really do, and it drives me crazy where I can see kids who otherwise would be, just probably, nice kids. And we all grew up during a time in America where we've seen racial unrest and stuff like that. We've all seen that before. But this is way over the line. Okay, and this is way over the line. Something has changed in the social fabric of America. There used to be a time in America where they would tell you that you can't just go out and just hit somebody. You just can't do that, this, that, or the other thing, okay? But those days seem to have, I don't know, maybe gone to the wayside. I just don't understand it. And it's really the woke left they believe that if they can speak the language of black people, that black people will actually believe it. And when they believe it, guess what? They'll vote for them. Okay, because if you feel sorry enough for somebody and you make them feel good about themselves, that all of a sudden you're all good to go. Okay, well, this is what the woke left says about black people. They say to black people, and we can all see it on TV. You can see it all the time. It says it tells us first and foremost, blacks are victims. Okay, we're the only. Oh gosh, we're the reason why we're in the place where we are in society is because we're victims. That we should be aggrieved. Okay, not just that we're victims, but we should be pissed off about it. Okay, that the reason why the reason why black folks are on welfare, the reason why black folks don't have jobs, is because somebody stole those jobs, and we should be pissed off about it. Okay, this is the big one. We deserve reparations. Okay, we deserve reparations. That's the big word, reparations. You do know, folks, that the only, and I'm going to say it because I know people don't know their history or anything like that. You know who enslaved people the longest historically of all people on the planet? I'll give you two guess. Okay, first one's wrong. Okay, black folks. Yeah. Okay, Egyptians were around for 3,000 years, you guys. 3,000 years. In that time, guess what? Guess what they had during that time? Okay, no. Yeah, they did. They had slaves. Okay, right now, for some reason, we black folks believe that because we were slaves during this period of time in American history, that all of a sudden we are special. Okay, we're no special, folks. Okay, the only reason why we are still trapped in the place we're at is because we are listening to people who keep telling us that we're trapped. And there's no reason why black folks cannot get up out of that place, but we keep listening to those folks who say, let me help you, okay? And they're not helping us. They keep telling us, oh, you deserve reparations. Black folks don't deserve reparations, okay? It'd be, I mean, if you want to give me $1 million, I'm going to take it. But we're no different than any other group of people. The Irish people were enslaved, okay? The Italians were enslaved. The Chinese were enslaved here in America. Okay, we just happen to be the last ones in the line, and now we're listening to people once again tell us that we're poor. Woe us, and we should be aggrieved. And the left keeps telling us that there's systemic racism, and it's an excuse to do bad things. Yeah, that's an excuse. Okay, let me tell you why. And once again, I work for the school district. Let me tell you, every year we do we have to do trainings every single year. You can ask any teacher, okay? We have to do trainings, and one of them is a diversity training. And the diversity training is all about learning about new people and how to work with people. And this is what they say about black folks, okay? I didn't even have to look for the paperwork or anything like that. I remember it because it's so offensive. It says that, one, black folks are lazy. Okay, that's why we don't hand in our paperwork. Okay, culturally, we're just lazy. I kid you not. That we're talkative. Okay, I'm talkative, but they say black people who are culturally just talkative. All they had to say, you know what they should have said? Yeah, they're the ones who stand up in the middle of a movie and talk a lot during the movies. Okay. They say that we're aggressive. They also say that that teachers should excuse our bad behavior because that's just how black people are. I kid you not, that is a training that I have to take every single year. Each year since its implementation, I'm appalled by the characterization that they say about black people. That's the way, they're training black people, they're training teachers how to teach black kids. And so guess what teachers do? Oh, that's that black kid. Yes, he's going to be that way. Yep, that's exactly the way he is. Okay, 99.9% of black kids are not that way. You will always find one kid that'll be that way, guys. But guess what? That is not every black kid. Yeah, the media has a part to do in this too, folks. Let me give you, I'm gonna try to go through this as quick as I can because there's so much to talk about this. Because guess what? If you try to train a people how to be a certain way, guess what? They're going to act that way. And the media, guess what? You've got a part to play in this too. The media is complicit in encouraging black people to be thuggish, to be oafish, to be offensive. Blacks are given a pass to be aggressive in society instead of being held accountable for their actions. Yeah, they go, oh, that's the way black folks are. That's why that guy beat that woman up, because that's the way black folks are. Hollywood rewards black people who act stereotypically like brutish, thuggish. I'm telling you right now, if you write a script for a movie where a black guy is well spoken, I shouldn't say well spoken, speaks like a regular black folks, you know, that won't it won't even get off of the cutting room floor. They'll never produce that. You know why? Because he's not stereotypically black. You can ask anybody in Hollywood, guys, the only way you're going to get a job is if you act black. What the heck does that mean? Here's the funny thing about it, guys, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Of the 100 million, 100 billion, couple of billion people that are on this planet, from the African descent, only less than 0.1% of those people are African Americans. Okay? I want you to understand that again. There's tons of Africans around this planet. Tons of people who find their descendancy from Africa. Okay? If you're Nigerian, guess what? If you're Jamaican, okay? There's only that much of those people who are African American. And everybody thinks you've got to act like them or you ain't black. That's right. If you don't act like some southern guy here in America, you ain't black. When there are tons of people, I've got more cousins and more relatives who speak British. I got a cousin who speaks German. I've got family members who speak French. None of my relatives have that what's up. None of them. Well, my brother does. My younger brother does, because he chose to do that. But nobody in my family is that way. We're Jamaicans. We're Jamaican Americans. And black folks eat it up, because black folks say, "Well, I've got to act that way if I'm going to be part of the family. I've got to act that way." Okay. Let's do another thing. Let's take a really quick break, guys. We've got to take a break, because if we don't, we'll get in big trouble. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about politics part that they have to play in this. This is huge. Okay. I'll be back in just a second. Stick around, folks. All right, folks, we are back. This is Sherman Ray, and this is the TNC podcast. Thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast today, folks. I know I'm getting in trouble today. I really am. But you know what, guys? I don't work for anybody, and I'm not going to worry about it. I really am not. I'm more excited about the fact that we're actually getting the truth out, that there's a lot of people being hurt. There's a lot of people who are, I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer that many of us are products of our society, and because we're products of our society, we've got to call it the way it is. Okay, and no, it's not racism, guys. This is not racism. It is wokenism that is trapping people. It's indoctrination, is what it is. That's why Karmelo Anthony killed this kid, because he was indoctrinated to believe that, guess what? I'm not going to be held, responsible for this. I can go ahead and kill somebody. I'm fine. Have you guys noticed that lately? That black folks are just acting completely foolish, and thinking, I can get away with this. I can act all bad, and I'll get away with it. I'll just shake my. I saw some lady out there. She's going. This one guy, and this lady thinking because they're going to act all aggressive that somebody's not going to just knock them out. You're out of your mind. We are allowing an ideology to get us to fight its battles. You see, because guess what happens? That whole woke mentality, they will not get out there. I don't see George Soros, I don't see Neville Singham, these guys going out there and trying to push their own agenda. Guess what they do? They get stupid black folks to do it. I said it. That's right. They get stupid black folks, they get stupid white folks to do it. And all along, instead of black folks going to college, going to school, becoming great, whatever you want to be in life, no, we're sitting there being stupid. I watched a thing by, and I'm going to try to get out of this as quick as I can because there's so much more to talk about here. I'm watching these folks. It's called LASA, and LASA is the LA homeless organization that tries to help people get off the streets. Okay, and now you got all these people that are standing out in front of there, and they're giving people these pledge cards. They're not pledge cards. They're what are they called? Voter registration things, that kind of stuff, and pamphlets to sign. And they're getting homeless people to sign these things to make money for themselves and to try to vote for whatever organization they want to do. And I said all that to say this. These are black folks preying upon other black folks doing it. Instead of them trying to help these black folks get off the streets, try to get education, try to do all kinds of productive things, we're our own worst enemy. I've spent the last 20 plus years starting black organizations and starting organizations to help black folks. And it is one of the most difficult things in the world to do because we have been so trained to not be successful. Even though somebody's trying to help you be successful, we've been trained not to be. So it's trying to unlearn these things, okay? Let me go on, guys. Let me go on because before I get too far in the weeds here, because I don't have a lot of time left. Let's talk about politics, okay? How do the politicians who are mostly on the left, we're not talking about the Republicans, because Republicans are not going around going, poor black, oh, racism. Okay, Republicans are saying, pull yourselves up, black folks. I started a chamber of commerce, you guys. And here's the funny thing about it. The Trump administration came to me in their first year, and I can tell the story pretty quickly. They came to the state of Nevada, and they reached out to the Black Chamber of Commerce at the time, and they said, and they wouldn't talk to them. And this was the SBA administrator, Linda McMahon, came to her and spoke. And they would not speak to the Trump administration because they said, oh, because they were listening to these woke leftists saying, don't talk to the Trump administration. They came to me. I had a group of about 1,500 black business owners, and they came to me. And I met with them. I said, sure. And they were saying, Sherman, we've got all this money for your business owners. How come we can't get the other Chamber of Commerce to do anything? I go, I have no idea. It's because we're being indoctrinated. A Chamber of Commerce leader, that is not your job to sit there and say, I don't want to work with this person. Your job is to put your business owners in the right place to make money. Okay, anyways, let's talk about politics. The politics is an example, and let me give you the examples of incivility. It's myriad. Okay, black politicians exemplify incivility on a macro level. So why wouldn't you think the general public would mimic this type of behavior? Which means, guess what? You see, when you see somebody do something wrong, it gives you license to go ahead and do the same thing. Okay, top of the list, Jasmine Crockett. That nasty old whatever. Oh my gosh, she's disgusting. Rashida Tlaib. Maxine Waters. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with that woman? She's supposed to be a congresswoman. She's supposed to exemplify what she's doing. She's showing people how not to be civil and how not to get things done. And he's not a black guy, but he said something very profound. Joe Biden. Remember Joe Biden? You guys know I'm going there, right? Joe Biden was on the Breakfast Club one day, okay? And he says on there, guess what, guys? If I have to explain why you should vote for me, then you ain't black. Oh. And Charlemagne got upset. Charlemagne goes, what? What did you say? And he had to walk it back and everything. But the point was already made. You have to act black. If you don't act black, then you shouldn't even call yourself black. What the heck does that mean? And it goes to voting, too. He said, guess what? If you don't vote for me, if you don't vote this way, you ain't black. Here, guys, the black folks are generally united on most subjects, okay? We all want to get ahead, blah, 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 except for politics. Politics, guess what? If you are a conservative, black folks will try to kill you. Oh, no, they don't want to have no part of it because they've been indoctrinated to believe that the Democrat Party is the one who's fighting their battles for them and that they're going to be just fine. when they could not be any further from the truth. The Democrat Party is trying to trap them on a political plantation, give them handouts, give them welfare, okay? Give them all kinds of, which is pushed by the left. Welfare is pushed by the left big time. Democrats have institutionalized this slavery. And it's slave mentality. It's telling black folks, guys, guess what? And this has been since the 60s. Okay, there was a time when black folks were never on welfare, but Democrats took over. They go, guess what? We can enslave these folks. Let's give them money. Let's just give them some money. Each year they come out and they reinforce this mantra. It says, you're black, okay? You need us because America has got systemic racism and white folks hate you. They hate you, so take this money. This will help you off, and it'll help you get ahead. You need welfare. You need food stamps. You need, and they're just giving it away. What that tells black folks, guys, is it tells us that we are less, and it reinforces the mindset that we should be upset. We should be upset, and the more money we take, guess what? The more upset we get. So that every time we see a white person, now we're going, you're the problem. You're the problem. Karmelo Anthony was indoctrinated to feel the way he's feeling. He's only 17 years old, but he's heard that in his entire life. His entire life, he's been told you're a poor black kid. You'll never amount to anything. White people are the problem. You should lash out at people. He's the victim. He really is the victim. This list goes on and on. We could talk about hip hop music. We could talk about how using the N-word, which drives me crazy, it's become common. When I was a kid, if you said the N-word, guess what that meant? That meant you wanted to fight. Plain and simple. Right? Yes, you wanted to fight. Nowadays, guess what? I hear it all the time. Okay? Well, not around me, because I'm very strict on this. You will never say that word around me. If you do, I will say something to you about it. Okay? I'm not your N. You ain't one, and people fought and died so that you couldn't say. But guess what? Now, guess what? Like I said, I work in a school. And they told me before I started working for the school, guess what? You're going to be called that. I said, I will never be called that. And you will not allow that to happen to me, because I will call you on it too, Mr. Administrator, Miss Administrator. When kids hear this from the time that they are little kids to the time they are adults, guess what? They believe that that's who they are. And that's the problem. And that's because the woke left has basically said, oh, it's fine. It's just a word. It's just a word. It's just a word. And they just brought it in. And it's all good. We got to end here, folks. Okay. Let's end on this. Okay. The real problem is that Karmelo Anthony and millions of other young, impressionable black youth are being socially indoctrinated to believe that they don't have to conform to civil society's norms and ethics. Black parents, most who are fighting against their babies being the characters seen on TV, can't compete with the drumbeat of woke ideologues and their lies that their children are subjected to on an almost 24-hour loop. Just as we are seeing on a weekly basis, street takeovers, fights at social gatherings, riots, breaking out on all occasions where people should be enjoying themselves. The manifestation of the indoctrination of our black children is finally coming home to roost. Guys, we're seeing it now. We're seeing this happen right in front of us. It's because it's a manifestation. It's finally like a pimple that's come up and it's boiling over, and we're seeing it breaking out all over the place. Don't be surprised, folks, if you see more and more of this as the days come ahead. And it's because we're being indoctrinated. We're being indoctrinated to hate. We're being indoctrinated to be uncivil. We're being indoctrinated to hate one another. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. Okay, we're done, folks. Hey, I want to encourage you, go ahead and go to our website, to the nevadaconservative.com, and check out all the stuff we've got on there. You can come to our website, our YouTube page. We're on Truth Social, we're on Rumble, we're on Spotify, so you can check us all of that. Instagram, X, and definitely get the audio of this, because there's so much on there. There really is just so much packed in this thing. Anyways, this has been Sherman Ray for the Nevada Conservative podcast. Thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast, guys. We'll see you again hopefully tomorrow. Okay, take it easy. Bye-bye.